As we prepare to venture deeper into space on long-duration missions, there are lots of things to consider when it comes to just how much the crews will be able to take along with them. Lori Meggs is at the Payload Operations Integration Center at NASA's Marshall Space Flight Center to talk about one of the things that is very near and dear to her heart and one of her favorites, clothes. Lori?
That's right, but wouldn't it be a lot easier if we could just wear the same clothes every day until we got tired of them and then throw them away? Well, that's how it works for crew members on the space station. And until now, it's never really been studied as to how long they wear their clothes, but it's vital information as we go deeper and farther into space. But in order to wear your clothes longer, well, you've got to find that right fabric. And that's where a 3-year advanced clothing study comes in. Finally, a shopping spree. Actually, it's an advanced clothing study that's going to look at the types of clothes that we need to send for astronauts and crew members to wear as we go further to asteroids and to Mars. Evelyne Orndoff is actually studying this, and you're a textile engineer. Tell us what we're looking at here.
We are looking at 3 years of studies on different clothes that we would like to select from for those long-duration missions that will take us to Mars.
So it was ground-based studies for about 3 years, right?
Correct.
And what did you find? You found that this row is actually better to send to the space station.
Just in front of you are the different garments we actually send on orbit for expedition 39 and 40 was crew of 3 astronauts and 3 cosmonauts who wore those clothes. Some of these clothes are exercise clothing, and the others were 2 of the t-shirts were used as routine wear over 15 sessions, and Darwin will explain that later, what we're talking about.
And this is pretty much basically what they exercise in, and maybe kind of wear day to day, just
yes.
I guess what we would say lounge clothes?
Yes. So what was shipped was right there, the 2 polyester, the shorts and a polyester t-shirt, and they were used for exercise, but then we also used wool for exercise because wool has very interesting properties in drying, and actually after it has dried, it smells bad when it's wet, but once dried, it doesn't smell anything. And
that's what we want when these
yes.
when they're exercising, when they're sweating. I mean, how long do they typically wear their clothes right now?
Well, we have never captured that because in the crew catalog, we recommend a certain usage rate, and based on that rate, we know when to resupply. But we have never studied and asked any crew members all the way from shuttle program to a space station program, how long they wear the clothes. So this is why we needed to do those studies. It was very important. We start quantifying lengths of wear.
And it's pretty much a dream come true. You just wear it as long as you can, then you throw it away right now. But that's not going to be possible as we go farther.
Correct. Basically, using disposable clothing of a long-duration mission is a heavy burden on the logistics, and we cannot afford to use the same type of garments on those long-duration missions that we have used so far in those missions like shuttle and station missions, where you have constantly a resupply of food and clothing and other consumables. For some programs we've had in the past, we were on the forefront of textile technology. We were not just using what's commercially available, we were designing for those spacecraft. With shuttle and station, we have ambient air. So we can use the same thing we use on Earth. But we want to pick, or at least what we did in those studies that led to the selection of what went on the expedition 39 and 40, that's based on the best that's available now. And this is why you see all these garments, because before we selected these, we looked at what you see there with all these other fabrics.
All right, we have the merino wool under the microscope, and this is the fabric that I was just holding, and that was what was selected for the study.
Yes, it's one of the fabrics that was selected for the Evelyne clothing study. And when we looked at different types of wool, the reason we chose merino is because they are the finest wool fibers. As you touch the fabric, you don't have the usual prickliness you have with traditional wool, like Shetland sheep.
Really smooth.
Yes.
And so when you look at it under the microscope, then you see all of these really neat pictures here. What are we
Yes.
looking at there?
So what we look at first, because these were new products to us, we looked at the type of knit construction. These are all knitted goods that we have. Those merino wool fibers, the wool industry has done lots of advances in making these fibers feel smoother. Hence the touch. When you touched it earlier, you didn't realize it was wool until we told you.
Right.
And so they're also less likely to form those little pills, and they'll be more durable. And that's what we're looking for. And we picked some products that were the best in what was available commercially.
So these were the actual clothes used in the IVA clothing study. Tell us about that.
Right. We had a ground study that ran for about a year and a half, when we had 80 participants, and where we had them wear all sorts of different fabrics, and that led us to choose the fabrics used in the space station study, the IVA clothing study.
And that's these.
Right.
This is wool. I mean,
we'll feel that, and you wouldn't believe that that's wool. So
no.
yeah, this is merino wool. It has a longer fiber, and it's been specially processed.
And these are polyester.
Right.
Really, really light polyester.
Right. Those are the lightest polyester shorts that we can buy on the market. Right. Yeah.
So tell us what we looked for in this study on the space station. How long it went for, and how many subjects you had.
Right. Well, we had actually we ended up with 6 subjects, 3 astronauts and 3 cosmonauts. Okay. And my understanding was that our study was, in a way, groundbreaking in the sense this was the first official involvement of both astronauts and cosmonauts in a human study.
Well, we all like clothes. It's universal.
Right. And so we were lucky to get the extra 3 participants, and we asked them to set aside 15 days, 15 exercise periods to wear these exercise clothes and the routine t-shirts. We allocated 6 sets of clothing for them to wear in the 15 days, but when they would get tired of a particular garment, they would dispose of it and then pick the next one that was assigned to them in a particular sequence. Each astronaut had his own sequence. Between wool and polyester and mud acrylic. And none of the astronauts or cosmonauts got fully to the end of their 6
so they lasted a little longer than
they did. So they ended up with a lot of extra clothing up there in their pantry aboard the space station.
Not a bad problem. So it's all about just how long they felt like wearing.
Right. And we also collected length of wear data. Yeah. And we collected perception data with a daily questionnaire. And we are in the process of compiling the questionnaire data and analyzing it. And sometime in the future, hopefully this year, we will have the results from that study.
And then I can get some and I can say I wear what astronauts wear.
That's right, yeah.